Very good afternoon to all of you and welcome to the Indian Embassy. Uh, Madam Gyori, Honorable Member of European Parliament, Dr. Matula from the Ministry of National Economy, Excellencies, distinguished representatives of the Hungarian government, uh, industry leaders from both India and Hungary, eminent academics, and dear friends. It's a profound pleasure to stand before you today in Budapest, a city that has long served as a bridge between the East and the West, a center of intellectual rigor, and a gateway to the heart of Europe. As I look across this room, I see more than just business leaders and business people. I see the architects of a new era in India Hungary relations. We gather at a moment of extraordinary importance in our national history. The global economic geography is shifting, and the two nations represent here are not merely observers in this change, we are its drivers. Today, we are here to decode the double engine opportunity with the historic conclusion of India Europe FTA and the transformative vision of India's Union Budget 2026 27. My message to you today is simple. India's doors have not just been opened, they are being rebuilt with European and specifically Hungarian partnership in mind. Reaching this historic milestone was no small feat. The India EU Free Trade Agreement is a culmination of nearly 2 decades of complex and often challenging negotiations requiring immense strategic patience and composure from both the sides. It's a matter of profound satisfaction, and I believe it is no coincidence that the most decisive progress in the talks were achieved during the Hungarian presidency of the Council of the European Union. Budapest's pragmatic approach to global connectivity and its steadfast commitment to economic cooperation provided the vital momentum to the talks which were needed to bridge the final regulatory gaps, ultimately paving way for the historic signing we celebrated last month. Before we delve into the technicalities of trade and tariffs, I must acknowledge the bedrock upon which our economic house is built. Our bilateral relations with Hungary is not merely one of diplomatic protocol. It is a partnership defined by a high degree of political understanding and mutual trust. We share a history that celebrates cultural icons like Amrita Shergill and academic excellence that resonates in our knowledge sector. Hungary has been a steadfast friend, notably supporting India during crucial times, and now is an active partner in our rise. India and Hungary share a relationship that is remarkably free of friction and rich in mutual respect. This is not a product of chance, but of high degree of political understanding, whether it is our cooperation in multilateral forum or our shared belief in a multilateral world. Our diplomatic synchronicity provides the sovereign guarantee that businesses crave. In recent years, our commercial ties have evolved, becoming more flourishing. Bilateral trade is now above 1.3 billion euros, and Indian investments in Hungary have reached almost 3 billion euros on their own. Hungary has become a preferred destination for Indian investment in the Central and Eastern European region, with Indian firms establishing major footprints in sectors ranging from automotive components to chemicals to pharmaceuticals and IT. Conversely, Hungarian expertise in high tech manufacturing and water management has found its receptive and growing market in India. This relationship is characterized by a quiet efficiency. We do not just sign MOUs, we build factories, we conduct joint research, and we create jobs. Whether it is the 2,500 electric buses running in India on Hungarian control technology or the collaboration between Indian firms and Hungarian giants like Richard Gideon, our economic synergy is a living, breathing reality. To understand where India is going, one must look at the momentous strides taking place under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. India is no longer a sleeping giant. It is, a, it is now the world's fastest growing major economy. a laboratory for digital innovation, and a global manufacturing hub in the making. Our journey towards Viksit Bharat, a developed India by 2047, is powered by philosophy of growth that balances ambition and sustainability. In the last decade, we have built a physical infrastructure at a pace previously not thought possible, adding thousands of kilometers of national highway or dozens of new airports in matter of months. We have pioneered the digital public infrastructure in India, often called the digital stack, the Indian stack. It has democratized finance and made people, the 1.4 billion people of India, connected to mainstream financial services. We have maintained macroeconomic stability while displaying while displaying and undertaking some of the largest poverty alleviation programs in the world. Visionary leadership is meaningless without structural reforms. In recent times, India has dismantled its license Raj and replaced it with a red carpet for global capital. We have moved towards a transparent, non adversarial tax regime. The simplification of corporate tax structures, for example, allows new manufacturing units, has made India one of the most tax competitive jurisdictions in Asia. We are rolling out single window clearance with customs integrated system, a unified digital platform that enables automated approvals and non-intrusive AI-enabled scanning to slash turnaround times for shipments. Our new GST reforms simplify tax slabs and streamline compliance. A comprehensive review of the Foreign Exchange Management Act non-debt instruments rules is underway to create a contemporary, seamless investment framework for global partners. By consolidating dozens of central labor laws into streamlined codes, we have balanced worker protection with flexibility required for model industrial scaling. These reforms are not just incremental, they are radical. They are designed to ensure that when Hungary's company come to India, its energy is spent on innovation and production and not on navigating paperwork. In January this year, we reached a historic milestone, the conclusion of the India EU Free Trade Agreement. This has been termed as the mother of all deals because of its sheer scale, covering a combined market of over 2 billion customers. For Hungary, this FTA can be a game changer. It is not about reducing costs, it's about strategic integration. At the heart of this agreement is the radical tariff liberalization, mandating the immediate removal of tariffs on over 90% of trade lines. This is a massive boon for Hungarian exporters. For the automotive sector, it means the removal of barriers on components and machinery. For the pharmaceutical industry, it provides duty-free access to one of the world's largest consumer markets. Even specialized machinery and chemical will now enter the Indian market with a competitive edge they never had before. The agreement extends beyond goods. We have introduced a new provision for services and mobility focusing on the movement of skilled professionals. The investment protection framework is a cornerstone of this deal, which offers Hungarian investors greater legal certainty and robust dispute resolution mechanisms, replacing older bilateral treaties with a unified modern standard that protects your capital against arbitrary changes. This agreement turns the India EU corridor into a seamless economic highway. The Union budget of 2026-27, presented just a few days ago, is a 504 billion euro opportunity for a future ready India. It's a fiscal engine that will drive the FTA's success in India. I want to highlight some specific allocations and scheme that might have greatest relevance for Hungarian partners. To start, the budget introduced a new single window clearance 2.0 for foreign enterprises. This system is designed to provide a truly unified digital interface for all approvals, significantly enhancing the ease of doing business. In tandem, we are seeing the implementation of new tax rationalization policies, the newly introduced corporate tax structure for the new manufacturing units and simplification of compliances will allow faster turnarounds and better integration. The budget's sectoral initiatives, and I'll just highlight a few here, are perhaps where the Hungarian expertise finds its most natural home. We have made heavy allocations towards green hydrogen, semiconductors, and urban infrastructure, sectors where Hungarian mastery is globally recognized. For instance, in the realm of green hydrogen, the Indian government has allocated approximately 189 million euros to kickstart large scale production. In the semiconductor space, the allocation stands at roughly 377 million euros to build a local ecosystem. Urban infrastructure, particularly water management and urban mobility, has received an allocation exceeding 9.4 billion euros. These are not just numbers, they are funded mandates for the very technologies that Hungary has access to. So, how do the FTA and the budget work together for you? They create a dual advantage system that supports Hungarian investment into India and creates a vast market of opportunities. By removing border taxes through the FTA and creating direct demands through budget, we have ensured that the Hungarian industries will benefit across a broad spectrum of sectors. We have launched the India Semiconductor Mission 2 with an allocation of 3.77 billion euros. Since the European machinery typically accounts for 70% of the semiconductor fab capital expenditure, the FTA's duty reduction on these inputs will make European precision engineering and machinery indispensable to India's chip ecosystem. To establish India as a global biopharma hub, we have announced the Biopharma Shakti scheme with an outlay of almost a billion euros. With the basic custom duties on 17 critical drugs now exempted, Hungarian pharma giants like Richard Gideon can expand their R&D and manufacturing footprint in India to cater to its burgeoning health sector market. The budget positions India as a global data capital, offering a tax holiday until 2047 for foreign companies providing global cloud services from Indian data centers. This is an invitation to Hungarian IT and data companies to look at expanding their global footprints with India's developing ecosystem. With a phased tariff reduction on high value products like automobiles and a push for green tech, the Indian market is ready for Hungarian automotive excellence. In the automotive sector alone, including in the field of e mobility, Hungarian component makers can now integrate directly into the Indian supply chain without the weight of tariff. The opportunities in agro and food processing sector are equally significant. With India's massive agricultural output and the budget's focus on processing infrastructure, Hungarian food technology can play a pivotal role in adding value to global exports from India. The reduction of tariff on European agriculture products, including your wine, while retaining safeguard in some of the sensitive items such as dairy, we have created a channel for Hungarian farmers accessing a rapidly growing Indian market. The budget doubles the allocation for green hydrogen and renewable integration. We are extending custom duty exemption on capital goods used in lithium ion battery manufacturing and critical mining processing. We are developing 7 new high speed rail networks and 20 new national waterways, creating a massive demand for advanced transport and logistics solutions. Hungary's global leadership in water management and urban mobility find a direct match in our urban infrastructure allocations. Hungarian firms will find themselves uniquely positioned to bid in the multi-billion euro projects funded by Indian Union budget. Whether it's desalination, wastewater management, or smart urban mobility systems, the path from Budapest to New Delhi has never been more direct. Distinguished guests, the India EU FTA and the Union budget are two halves of one door, a door that is now wide open for Hungary. By aligning with the budget sectoral allocation and the FTA's tariff liberalization, we have created a perfect storm of opportunity for our Hungarian friends. We invite Hungarian SMEs to join us in this endeavor through joint ventures with Indian partners, leveraging our deep tech talent pool for your innovation hubs. We invite your industrial leaders to view India not just as a market, but as a primary pillar of your supply chain resilience. We are at a point in history where the stars have aligned for India and Hungary. We have the political will, we have the legal framework through the FTA, and we have the financial commitment through instruments like our recent budget. The India of 2026 is a land of 1.5 billion opportunities. It is a country that is building a new city every year, adding a new digital user every second, and now through this FTA is a country that has chosen Europe and Hungary as its primary partner in progress. To help us navigate this new landscape, the core of today's seminar is our panel discussion. Its relevance today cannot be overstated. While the FTA and India's domestic reforms provide the legal and economic framework, it is up to policymakers, strategic thinkers, and industry leaders to translate these texts into tangible business action. We are privileged to have an exceptional group of people with us today to help us decode this development. These experts bring their unique and varied positions and experience to this discussion, from the European Parliament to business associations, from Ministry of Economy to investment promotion bodies, and from business to think tanks. Together, we look forward to their insight as they unpack the profound opportunities that the free trade agreement combined with India's economic reforms provides for the scaling of our bilateral trade and mutual investment. Thank you once again for joining us today and being a part of this important conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Gaur, for the comprehensive, insightful, and illuminating address, and for setting such a strong foundation for today's dialogue. We will now move to the core of today's seminar, the panel discussion. This session is designed to decode the opportunities arising for Indian and Hungarian businesses from the FTA. I would now request our panelists to join us on the stage as I introduce them to our audience. Please welcome Ms. Enikő Győri, a distinguished member of the European Parliament. With her profound expertise in European economic policy, she brings invaluable insights into the strategic implications of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement. We are honored to introduce Dr. Gábor Matula, Head of the Department for Outward FDI and Equity Investment at the Ministry for National Economy. He expertly guides Hungary's strategic outward investments and international economic partnerships. Joining us is Ms. Martina Almási, Partner Relations Manager in the Cabinet to the CEO at the Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency. She plays a pivotal role in facilitating high-value bilateral investments and corporate matchmaking. Next, please welcome Mr. Levente Pál Tibori, Executive Vice President for East Europe and Germany at SMR Automotive Mirror Technology Hungary. Representing a major Indian investor, he provides essential, practical perspectives on navigating manufacturing and supply chains between our nations. We are delighted to welcome Mr. István Kis, Executive Director of the Danube Institute. A respected voice in policy analysis, he provides crucial intellectual framing on how this partnership reshapes global geopolitics and economic alliances. Finally, please welcome Ms. Rashmi Singh, the Europe Region Representative for FICCI. As a vital voice for the Indian private sector, she actively champions industry interest, facilitates cross-border partnerships, and highlights dynamic bilateral investment opportunities. To lead this vital conversation, I hand the floor over to our moderator, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, head of the commercial wing at the embassy.
Hello. 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 Yeah. Good afternoon to all. Thank you for coming. So a very warm welcome to all the panelists. The ambassador has set the tone for a very focused and practical examination of the opportunities created by the historic India-EU FTA. Let me begin by inviting Ms. Eniko Juri, Honorable Member of the European Parliament, for her views. But before we delve into the broader European context, it is important to acknowledge the highly conducive business environment fostered by the Hungarian leadership. Hungary continues to emphasize predictability, competitiveness, and openness as core attributes of its investment climate. The stability of Hungary's investment regime, anchored by a 9% corporate income tax rate that remains the lowest in the European Union, has been instrumental in attracting foreign direct investment and promoting economical growth. Building on this strong foundation, we often hear the new India-EU FTA described as the mother of all deals due to its sheer scale. From your vantage point in Brussels and Budapest, how does this agreement validate Hungary's strategy of opening to the East? Does this FTA finally align EU trade policy with the reality that the center of global economic gravity is shifting to partners like India?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation, Ambassador. It's really a very nice opportunity for me to be here. I have never been to this embassy, so it's really a great opportunity. So this agreement, which is the mother agreement of all agreements, creates really new opportunities for all of us. And let me, before answering your question, let me start by giving you an insight on how this agreement was seen from the side of the EU institutions. And I have been member since 2019 of the International Trade Committee. And to be very frank, you know, the India agreement has always been on our screen saying it will never become a reality. Seriously. I mean, they were always saying India is an extremely complicated partner, very important. So nobody ignored the importance of India, and everyone has been amazed by the quick development of the largest democracy on earth. Still, you were considered completely hopeless from the point of view that we can get to an agreement in good terms with you, saying that India is extremely protectionist, so we have no chance. That was the reading. You know, sometimes miracles happen. The same India, with the same mentality, the same rules, and having a completely changed geopolitical context, surprisingly, the same India proved to be a much less complicated partner than we were told for years, because you have to know that the Commission has exclusive powers in negotiating free trade agreements with third countries, and of course on the basis of a mandate from the Council, and Parliament tries to follow. We have monitoring groups to see what is happening. At the end of the day, we're gonna have the right to say yes or no with the consent procedure. And I very much hope, and I think we have very good chances that at the end of the procedure, the European Parliament will say yes to this agreement. Why, from one minute to the other, India proved to be a much less complicated partner than we were told that you are? Well, if there is a will, there is a way. It was so simple. And the European Union, finally, Brussels changed the tactics concerning free trade negotiations and any kind of negotiations. Because what in the previous term, and I was harshly criticizing the Commission for that, the Commission led all these negotiations in an extremely ideology-driven way, saying, and it was not independently of the Democrat government in the US, that we're gonna have good relations, including trade relations and investment relations, only with those countries which are so perfect as we are. So it was, I'm talking as not as from a Hungarian point of view, but that was the general approach. That we divide the world into good ones and the bad ones, and then we keep economic ties only as an exclusive right among just the good ones. And having that very ideological approach, we deprived ourselves from having excellent trade relations with everyone. And Hungary opted for a completely different way, because we said, well, we are an extremely export-oriented country, medium in Europe, medium-sized, I would never say small, small-sized member state, and we want to stand on not just on one feet, but on several feet. So we want good relations with everyone. We are ready to mutually accept and respect others and strive for good economic relations. And now that Europe desperately needs good relations and needs to have less exposure to just dependence on one partner, suddenly India proved to be a good partner. Because instead of ideology-driven trade policy, finally, in a pragmatic way, the EU was looking for an accessible agreement, not trying to cover everything, but leaving out certain sectors for which we had very little chance to get to a good agreement. So have some rationality in economic policy brought an excellent result. And I'm very much hoping that we will be able to have an extremely great benefit from it, speaking as Hungary.
Thank you so much. Let's now seek a perspective from the Hungarian government, Dr. Gabor Metula, Head of the Department for Outward FDI and Equity Investment Ministry for National Economy. The FTA highlights Hungary has been incredibly successful in attracting Asian investment with the new tax rationalization for manufacturing units in India's budget. We might see a flow of capital outward too. How is Hungary looking at possible support to joint ventures? Are you ready to help Hungarian firms not just export, but actually invest and set up presence in India to capture that market?
Thank you for this question. I would like to welcome everyone as well, and thank you for the invitation for His Excellency. So there is no question that trade finance is essential for companies to enter new markets. But long-term competitiveness often requires a local investment presence as well. So establishing a subsidiary or a joint venture in another market can bring companies closer to customers, supply chains, and local business networks. So Hungary supports the establishment of domestic joint ventures through a competitive business environment, a predictable regulatory framework, and of course a business-friendly tax regime. Supporting and financing outright direct investment is also part of the economic development strategy of Hungary. And it is very important because it helps Hungarian companies to scale internationally and also to make a lasting presence in other markets. You mentioned the investment protection framework. I think, yes, this can have an important enabling role for cross-border investments because it can erase legal uncertainty and, of course, unnecessary administrative burdens as well. Hungary already has several instruments that promotes outward direct investment for SMEs and larger companies as well. I would like to mention two of these. One is the role of the Hungarian Export and Import Bank, and the other is international investment funds that have Hungarian state presence. So, Exim Bank. Exim Bank is has served as an export credit agency for the past 30 years now, and with a clear focus on international trade and foreign market expansion as well. In last year, Exim Bank launched the Damian Sándor loan program, that is a governmental credit facility to promote competitiveness of the Hungarian companies. It has a budget of 2.8 billion USD. It's a large program with several products. In relation to the question, I would like to mention three of these. One is the foreign investment loan program, loan product. The other is the exporters of your future investment loan, and the third one is the green investment loan. These all are here for companies to expand in foreign markets and also to reach their sustainability goals. It is also essential to build a balanced financing structure, meaning that equity investment plays a key role besides loan and guarantee programs. That is why the Hungarian state, through the National Capital Holding, participates in several international investment funds. And these also have a key role in the outward direct investment. The Ministry for National Economy regards Asia and India in particular as a region of great economic opportunity. The Outward Investment Fund that was established in 2024 has a primary geographical focus on Asia, and it provides equity finance for companies that are willing to expand their operation to foreign countries, especially in Asian markets. I would like to also mention an international investment fund. This is the IFC, Financial Institution Growth Fund. This was created by the World Bank Group with the participation of Exim Bank. And it has a sector focus on financial institutions. And through this fund, Hungary was able to join or participate in large-scale investments in India, for example, in the bank sector, in the Bandhan Bank, investments in the Bandhan Bank and the Federal Bank as well. So such international investment funds can create these opportunities. And finally, I would like to say that we are ready to invest in India more, and we are confident that this free trade agreement will further encourage investment flows between our countries. Thank you.
Perhaps now would be an apt time to seek the views of the successful India-Hungary collaboration. Let me turn to Mr. Levente Poltigori, Executive Vice President, East Europe and Germany, SMR Automotive Mirror Technology Hungary. The SMR Group is inviting bridge between our two nations. With the removal of tariffs on auto components, how does the map change for your operations? Does this FTA encourage you to source more deeply from India for your Hungarian plants, or conversely, does it open the Indian market for high-value components manufactured right here in Hungary?
Thank you so much for this question and for the invitation, Your Excellency, and as well for the initiative to come closer to each other, Hungary and India. Being responsible in the automotive industry for auto components and delivering to, especially to German OEMs, where the market is very, very tight. We know Europe is not growing. Automotive market is staying flat for the next 4 to 5 years, flat, simply flat. So there is no CAGR. It's very difficult for us to, if the growth is not there, from where should come. Basically, we are all responsible for the bottom line. Yes, we are all here to make money. If we don't make money, then so we 2-3% profit, employing in 6 plants in Hungary 3,000 employees, because the customers, the German OEMs, they are not letting you make any more money. 2-3%, that's it. So we are very, very happy to have this trade agreement. Absolutely, we are really welcoming, and I'm very thankful in the name of the company to everybody who was supporting this initiative, to both countries as well, because it gives cost competitiveness. Imagine for die-cast parts, for electronic parts, you pay 3%, 6%, 8% tax and duty. This is automatically is hitting your bottom line. On the other hand, you have all the procedure on the customs, which is painful sometimes, waiting time. On the other hand, also, if you buy goods from India, you will have to buy basically big batches in order to save at least a little bit on logistic cost. So with this trade agreement, we are free to manage also lower inventories, and it is much, much easier for us to stay competitive in this automotive market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me now turn to Mr. Istvan Kis, Executive Director of Danube Institute. In a recent article from Danube Institute, while discussing the FTA, it was said that overall the agreement may seem like a political success for both parties, but economically at this stage, it is more likely to bring faster and more tangible benefits to the European Union. Do you think that this is appreciated by the European and especially Hungarian companies, that India has made substantial changes to its approach and is now one of the most open market in the world?
Thank you, and also thank you to His Excellency for the invitation and for the event. It's a real privilege to be here with you today. Well, first two things. One is with the paper which we published, it was partly based on Reuters, so it's also not just our view, but some others' views as well. And second is that, of course, we still don't know some of the finer print, so the agreement is still not finished, and the final agreement, might push some of the incentives in different versions. I don't think there's going to be huge differences, but of course, still we don't know. So it's partly as an academic, I always have to say that we don't know the future, and there's still some uncertainties with the agreement itself. But it is true, I think, that if on face value, if you look at the current agreement, it seems that at least on the short term, Europe benefits a bit more, perhaps, from the agreement. It doesn't mean that, of course, India doesn't benefit hugely from this. And also, I think if you look at the long-term perspective, India actually might benefit more on the long run. But on the face value now, Europe has seemed to manage to get a great deal. That's why we're talking about the mother of all deals. I think one of the biggest successes from the European side, of course, is that if you look at the face value, Europe had fairly low tariffs for Indian goods. The average is about 3.3. Of course, you had some things which were higher, some things lower, but the average was still 3.3%, while, of course, India had much higher, on average, over 10% tariffs on European goods. On certain industries, as it was mentioned, automobile industry, it was actually 110%, a very, very high tariffs. Now, India, of course, promised to cut these tariffs back, eventually to actually zero, which I think is a huge success for Europe. at a time which was already mentioned by my panelist before me is the automobile industry, which has been sadly struggling in Europe in the past year. I mean, the whole Europe has been facing serious problems. So I think this win comes especially in a time where Europe needs it very much, because of course the trade agreements talks with America, with China, haven't been going very well. We know that the Mercosur deal seems to face some problems. So it was a breath of fresh air that this agreement could pass with elements which seem to be beneficial for Europe. So I mentioned already the tariffs, but also there's less problematic things with agricultural products. One of the biggest issues Europe has with the Mercosur deal is with agricultural products, where we fear that the standards of Latin American countries on food products are not as the same as Europe, and we would face agricultural products which are not on the same quality. Here we have more guarantees to avoid that. Also, some agricultural products actually not involved in the agreement, like milk and different kind of meats. So I think that's also a good deal for Europe, and in a sense, which Hungary is especially interested in, that is we have a very strong element on intellectual property rights, especially on medicine. That's crucial for Richter Gedeon, one of the biggest Hungarian companies, very active on the pharmaceutical side. So that's, I think, again, a very good element for the European Union, and in particularly Hungary, where we can benefit from. So as I said, I think on the face value, if we just look at what is in the current agreement, it seems that Europe has actually got a pretty good deal, and might benefit, as I said, on the short term a bit more from it than India. But as I said, I think it's a good deal for everyone. And I think there's a huge potential for both partners to shake up the geopolitical sphere and the economic cooperation between the two blocks, in a sense. I mean, the country and Europe as a bloc. So I think there's going to be great benefits for both. One element, again, if I have to stay with this, which I think got some criticism, but I think there are some questions, is labor mobility. But here again, I think what we see now currently is that I don't think that's going to be problematic for Europe, because we're talking about high-skilled labor, and also we have kind of concrete constraints on how this labor would be traveling. And actually, Europe does need high-skilled labor. And I think, although Hungary sometimes has been accused of being this very anti-migrant country, that's not true. I mean, Hungary was always against illegal migration, which we see as hugely problematic. But we have far less problems with actual managed legal migration. And I think this deal is actually going towards that direction, that we might have sectors where actually both, again, can benefit from high-skilled labor. So yes, all in all, I think it is true that both benefit, but perhaps on the short term, Europe could benefit more, and we're very happy about that. And I think, as I said, it comes at a very opportune moment where Europe has been struggling with its economy, and especially the automobile industry, which I think, we will not go into it, and I also don't want to offend people, but I think there has been some mistakes from the European Union on how to support the automobile industry and how to not. And I think some of the green policies might have also been a mistake, but this is, how should I say it? This will open up a lot of questions, so I don't want to go into it. But I think it's very good that now we have this deal which can help the European automobile industry, which again, from a Hungarian perspective as well, is a big win, because of course it's one of the biggest parts of our industry. Thank you.
Thanks for your views. We have with us today Ms. Rasmi Singh, representative Europe region FICCI, which is one of the largest Indian business federations. Let me pose the next question to you. Representing the apex body of Indian industry, how is the domestic private sector preparing for the realities of this historic FTA. With the immediate removal of tariffs on over 90% of goods, does Indian industry view this influx of European and specifically Hungarian products and technologies primarily as a new competition or as a necessary catalyst to integrate Indian manufacturing deeper into global supply chains? No, it's okay. No. It's pause. Just press again. Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you, His Excellency, for having me here. It's an absolute honor to be here amongst the esteemed guests. I'll try and unpack the question. It has about 2-3 elements of it. First and foremost, I think the Indian industry is well poised to engage with the advanced economies of the world. Indian Industries is steadily repositioning itself in the global value chain. I must put forward here that our industries are not working on the sidelines or on the margins of global production network, but is steadily embedded right at the center of it. We spoke about the automobile and pharmaceuticals. I'd just like to point out that we are the third largest automobile market globally. We supply 20% of the global generic medicine, so there are clear synergies. To the second question, which is, do we see the influx as a competition? Absolutely not. I think someone mentioned it's a short-term phenomena. Rather, it's the real core of the philosophy lies in co-creating, collaboration, and that is where we feel we significantly stand to benefit. With the Hungarian technologies, I think, an influx of services, goods, I think we see an opportunity of technological transfers, cost efficiencies, manufacturing efficiencies. So it's an absolute win-win proposition where we, what we foresee is a future where we work together, and it's not just about bilateral, but really look at the global market. Indian industry is aware that it's not just to access European market. It's not just about lowering the barriers, tariff barriers, but it's more about the regulatory alignment where we significantly are invested, and it's all about the ESG compliance, the quality certification, which is a huge area for us, and we as an Indian industry is really looking forward to this new era of global collaborations with EU.
Thank you so much. Let me also take a quick opinion for Ms. Martina Almasi, Partner Relation Manager, Cabinet to the CU, Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency, HIPAA. You are aware that the Indian Embassy not only solicits Hungarian investment into India, but also helps Indian investors looking at Hungary. For an Indian CU who is inspired by this new economic horizon, what is the first phone call they should make? How specifically can HIPAA assist them in navigating the initial risk assessment of the Hungarian market?
First of all, I would like to also thank His Excellency the Ambassador to invite us, HIPAA, to this panel, to be part of this guest. And I would like to just showcase how we, from the other side, how we would like to attract Indian investors to Hungary, because this is our main purpose, so the other way around. And referring to your question, definitely the first contact point would be HIPAA to call us, and we would be definitely very pleased to assist to those Indian companies who will be very interested to do business here in Hungary, with the collaboration definitely with the Indian Embassy here in Budapest. And throughout our services, we would like to smoothen the procedure to enter to the Hungarian market. And we have several services helping the companies to do business here in Hungary, which are free of charge. I think it's also important because we are part of the government, and our main aim is to make these deals happen here in the country. And we already have very good references with some Indian companies who are here for long term already. So that could be also a very good benchmark. But what kind of services we can provide to these companies? So first of all, we provide business intelligence, tailor-made solutions to the investors. We can give information about the business environment, legal, infrastructural questions, HR, labor-related questions, which might be interested by the investor in the decision making. We have a huge database and potential sites, over 2,000 units, greenfield, brownfield solutions, offices. We also help the companies to understand the regulatory system here in the country, help them through the legislation, to the licensing and permitting procedure, for example, or help them throughout the visa questions. So if a third country personnel would like to enter to the country, then we are here to support and smoothen the procedure. The third point is where we can support the companies is the cost and the incentive questions. So if the company already has a business plan to make an investment, then the Hungarian government can contribute to these investments financially, even from non-refundable cash subsidies or tax allowances, both, and our colleagues help to find the ideal solutions and to optimize the budget for them as well. And the last but not least, but is also very important, is we are here to integrate the investor into the Hungarian economy, the ecosystem of the Hungarian companies. So we also have a supplier development program where we are willing to introduce Hungarian companies to the newcomers. And this is also a very important purpose of our organization to integrate the companies to Hungary and to make the bridge between the Hungarian companies and the investors.
Thank you so much for your views. And on the matter of investments, let me go back to Dr. Matula. The Indian budget has allocated heavy incentives towards green hydrogen and urban infrastructure. Since Hungary has world-class expertise in water management and urban mobility, is the ministry planning any specific matchmaking mechanism to help these niche Hungarian players bid for Indian government contracts?
Thank you for this question. Yes, absolutely. So Hungary has strong capabilities in these sectors: water management, urban infrastructure, and among others, these are precisely the kinds of sector where structured matchmaking procedures can make a difference. I would like to mention that in these sectors, we already have several investments through both in debt financing, equity financing through Exim Bank and the state-owned investment funds. And for example, in Asia, water management is quite a common type of investment of ours, mostly in the structure of buyer's credit, but also in case of certain developing economies in the case of tied aid arrangements. First of all, I would like to promote these institutions to Indian investors and companies to contact them through us or directly them, because this would bring a good cooperation opportunity. And second, there is a clear value in developing a more targeted matchmaking procedure between our countries. We very much support the organization of dedicated business and investment forums, some sector-specific business missions through institutions and from the government, also B2G, B2B and B2B meetings with authorities and as well as local partners. And finally, it would be great to have tender readiness support to help companies contact into the major project of our countries. So this would be our ideas for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me quickly ask a follow-up to SMR. We are discussing supply chain resilience today. In a world of disruption, why should the Hungarian companies in this room look at India not just as a market, but as a stable, long-term alternative partner for sourcing raw materials, products, and technology?
Well, if I would be younger, I would do it by myself again. Very honestly, India has so many opportunities. Seriously, the scale and the stability, the scale of economy is so large, you cannot even imagine the opportunities are there in India. On the other hand, is stability. Stability, it's much, much better than in China. For example, also for us, with this trade agreement, it would allow us rather to source from India instead of sourcing from China. And there is a trend, or there was a trend in the last years, go to China, go to China. But the stability in India, you cannot find the same in China. So scale and stability. The second thing why we should go to India is the technology and partnership. There are so many companies, smaller companies, bigger companies with IT, a lot of IT knowledge, R&D, software engineers. Really, even in our company, we have a big backbone. Our backbone of the company is IT. Without this backbone, we would be nothing. It's not SAP. It is really a tailored solution for our business, made in India, for outside of India. So this is such a powerhouse, which we cannot even imagine. And the third thing, in my opinion, is also the human as such. The Indians are very, they really would like to grow. Their desire is really to grow. Target to the moon and you will land somewhere in the sky. Really, doesn't matter where, but you are still in the sky. So they are not like the Europeans where you target your business plan very accurately and so on. But as soon as something comes around and hit the market, you are struggling. Indians are really targeting high. It was for me personally also on the beginning difficult to explain my team. Hold on. Don't take the target so extremely and don't be scared. Doesn't matter where we reach, full effort, full victory. This is what the Indian management is expecting from us. So human and also from Hungary side, basically it is matching, is a good fit Indian investment or Indian tendency to grow, and the human resources in Hungary is also quite stable, and we are adaptable. I think we are the most adaptable country within European Union, not because I'm Hungarian. I was working in many countries in my career, but I really feel you can easier convince colleagues in Hungary than in any other country to work, to do overtime or whatever. But definitely, I think it's a good match, and this should be explored. It should be really explored. Such programs should happen also in universities, in startups, like we do it right now here, in order to encourage young startup companies to go to India, because it is worth it.
Yeah, thanks for your views. It's well taken. In tune with our focus on operational issues, I would like Fiki to weigh on this. If you were to make a pitch to the Hungarian CEOs and investors in this room who are re-evaluating their Asian strategy, Why is India the absolute must-have partner right now? Beyond the sheer demographic scale of 1.4 billion consumers, what makes the India private sector uniquely dynamic and reliable for long-term R&D and supply chain resilience compared to other markets?
Thank you. I think it's been already emphasized, well brought out by the SMR. Thank you so much for it. Why India? Where else? Let me. So when you're accessing India, it's not just accessing 1.4 billion market. We go beyond. You're accessing ecosystem of long-term production and innovation. Our macro fundamentals look very strong. We as you said, we have a strong, rather stable democratic governance and political continuity, steady growth rate, moderate to low inflation. We have our demographic dividend average average age is 28 years. We are a very aspirational lot, which is what keeps us steadily moving forward regardless. We are producing 5 million STEM graduates every year. We have 17 to 1800 global capability centers across, which is not just about back offices, but rather innovation hubs for multinationals. We have, like it was well pointed, we boast about the India stack, the digital infrastructure, which is so supportive, builds on the transparency, the ease of doing business. I could go on and on, ladies and gentlemen, but we have a very compelling story here. And we are a very trusted, dependable partner that you have in us. But I would also, because someone mentioned, ma'am mentioned that, India is flummoxing, it's difficult. Well, it is, it can be, but with the right partner ecosystem. And we are continuously as trade bodies, and so it's government, whether it is single window clearance, whether it's unified goods and service tax, and the trade bodies in identifying and offering a complete partner ecosystem, which kind of gets you first time right when you enter India. So we are working towards that, and we are very confident that India Next is your partner to be.
Thanks so much. Let us quickly bring in HIPAA's views for the future direction too. We have TCS and SMR have already. With this seamless corridor now open, which next-gen Indian sector is HIPAA targeting? Are we looking at Indian pharmaceuticals or green tech giants to set up their European headquarters in Budapest?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. And I would like to refer back to Madam's answer that why India, why not Hungary? Hungary has the same unique values. So we will be very much pleased to welcome Indian investors here. And as you have mentioned, we already have some really good success stories here from Indian company side as SMR or TCS or Apollo Tires, so very well-known companies, and also smaller companies in a very wide range of industries they covered, from the automotive to IT to and also plastics industry. So many companies are already here, but we would like to further widen this portfolio, and now we would like to target more the highly added value opportunities and highly added value activities from Indian companies. And particularly what you have already mentioned, pharmaceutical would be very interesting for us, since we also already have very long and traditions and history in this field, and Hungarian companies already in India, Richter Gedeon, for example. So it could be a good basis also for the cooperation. But we have a really good talent pool, R&D opportunities, cooperations with the educational institutions in this field. So pharma, biotech, medtech, all would be very important for us to attract companies from India. The second area would be to further wider the advanced manufacturing areas in several other industries, not only in the automotive, which is already present here, but also some niche industries which might be interesting to come to Europe. The third point is also which has been already mentioned, where India has strength, and we believe that Hungary also has strengths in IT solutions, digitalization, AI-related matters, so everything which is related to business service centers, IT and R&D would be very much interesting, and we already have a TCS, a really good benchmark in that, so that could be also a very good basis for the companies. And last but not least, what you already have mentioned, that all those investments which are related to green technology, hydrogen, and the new technologies. So we would also like to diversify the portfolio, not only relying on e-mobility, electrical solutions, where Hungary has also huge strengths with a large battery value chain which has been built out by the Chinese and Korean companies, but we would like to also diversify to hydrogen or other type of industries. And what you also has asked, you have asked about the headquarters. Yes, this is also a great opportunity. We always emphasize those companies which already has a presence here in the country, not only bring here production, but also some more highly added value activities from their company side, providing services, R&D, or headquarters. Just to mention an example from the Chinese company BYD, they are not only placing their production site here to Szeged, but they will also place their headquarters to the Budapest, and that could be also a good way or a path, an example for other companies to bring here highly added value opportunities, because I believe and we believe that Budapest Hall has all the opportunities what an international headquarter like besides Western European cities has, not only offering good infrastructure, but a very good quality of life to those people who would work in the headquarters. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For a more strategic look at the FTA, I would like to get Danube Institute's views on that. The FTA has a strategic implications, and 2026 is termed a pivotal milestone in our partnership. Beyond the economics, do you see this FTA as a geopolitical realignment? Does integrating with the world's fastest growing major economy offer Hungary and EU a buffer against the volatilities we are seeing in other parts of the global economy?
Yes, well, it's a difficult question, but I do see that it's a big opportunity also on a geopolitical square for the European Union and, of course, Hungary as well. So we see that we're living in a world of increased uncertainty, of course, where, let's say, things which a lot of people thought were givens or things which people thought for certain are not running the case. I mean, I myself, I'm a realist, so I always was very skeptical about a lot of these things and didn't necessarily believe that a lot of other people did believe in. But it is certain that if you, let's say, see America, where I always think America actually acted like an empire, but now the mask is off and America actually does, very seemingly act as an empire, not behind the mask anymore. So we can see that various geopolitical shifts and rivalries are extending. And in this regard, I think it's very good that Europe and India could make this agreement, and which can act, I think, as a stabilizer for basically the Eurasian region. Also, I think actually, if you look at our American friends, I think it's good for America as well. And I think, in a sense, I know that India and America currently have some tensions again with the tariffs and on the economic sphere. But I think that that's not in the interest of any of these players. And I think that's why, on the long term, there's going to be an agreement between America and India as well. I think they're going to be partners in the future as well, because I think they have to be. And I think where Europe and especially I think Hungary can play an interesting role. But I want to talk a bit about, because we're passionate about IMEC, the India Middle East corridor. We at Danube done some research on this, and also did an event last year, which, to my understanding, was actually the first major event about IMEC in Europe. We're hoping to do a bit more on that, but I think this agreement again gives a special push towards IMEC, because lower tariffs and more economic opportunity could be good for this corridor, which would of course connect India to Europe through the Middle East. I know that Americans are actually very supportive of that. So Trump actually called it the Golden Road, the new Golden Road. So that seems that they are also passionate. We know that our friends in Israel are also very keen, and also certain players in the Middle East, like the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia now has some reservations, but again, I think Saudi Arabia is also on the large supportive of this project. So this can have a further emphasis towards this corridor, which would help again further to foster investments and trade between Europe and India. And of course, Hungary is a point of interest in this, because Hungary could be one of the first ports, so to speak, on this road, because of its location and because of what was already mentioned by some of the other panelists, because Hungary's business environment and openness to foreign investments. I think Hungary can be really this gateway towards Europe through the IMEC as well, and for Indian investments. So I think there is a great opportunity here. And I think because we can see the agreement, there's parts which are actually looking at security and military investments as well. Europe has finally realized that it cannot just rely on American power to protect itself, which I think they should have realized earlier. So Europe is now finally putting more investments in its military buildup. I mean, Hungary was actually smarter in this sense with Poland and some other countries. So Hungary has been putting more investments in its military industrial complex even before the war broke out in Ukraine, actually. So that's definitely a part where I think there's more opportunities. I think India is going to be a strong ally for Europe. And as I said, I think that unlike, let's say, China, which I'm hopeful that with China there's also going to be some form of deal between America and China, but there, of course, there might be more tensions. So I think in this sense, for Europe, India is a safer bet. Because even if there's tensions between America and China, as I said, I think that's highly unlikely that you would have the same tensions between America and India. So I think for Europe, in this sense, India could be a more stable partner on the long run, at least, if things go badly between the China and America relationship. And also, I mean, it was mentioned in the very beginning that India is complicated. I think in a sense, China is even more with investments and getting to the Chinese market. So I think that's why it's also very good that with India, Europe managed to secure this deal. So I think I'm hopeful, and I think it's going to play an important role, and I'm really hopeful that IMEC will also get kind of a new steam with this agreement.
So much for your views. Let me go back to Honorable MEP before we end this panel. Honorable Member, India is unique. It is a democracy and a rising power. How can Hungarian businesses leverage this shared democratic framework to build trust faster in India than they might in other Asian markets?
Thank you very much. Well, a lot has already been said. I don't want to repeat everything, and colleagues here have more grand experience than I do. Still, let me share with you how I view that. Well, you mentioned the largest democracy, the largest, most populist country, one of the fastest growing major economies on the world, and well above even the Asian average. So outbeating China, for example. And more and more consumers are entering in the market. So I think, as I remember, when it was it like something like 20 years ago, when in China, people in mass started to eat other things than rice. It completely changed the food market, the global food market. So I expect some tremendous changes, even due to this impressive development India is doing. I just very much hope that Hungary started a bit earlier than others, still being a relatively, compared to India, of course, compared to India, a very small country, but still having a trustworthy relationship and having already some experience, mutual experience, and with our really very open, very sincere opening towards the East, including India. I hope it will bring some benefits for our companies, which are already there. You mentioned several opportunities for businesses in pharmaceuticals or in the automotive industry. And they are paving the way for others to follow. And so I think this stability and dynamism is the best ever combination. Concerning the leverage, because you were asking me on the leverage, again, well, I would mention three keys. First, emphasize reliability and long-term commitment. And this agreement really prepares the ground for that. And even His Excellency the Ambassador emphasized the importance of compliance, transparency, all the issues on which we can work together. Second, focus on sectors where Hungary has a strong added value. All this has already been mentioned, like water management, agri-tech, pharmaceuticals, medical technologies, automotive components, green transition solutions. And this could be well aligned with India's priorities. And finally, embed locally, not only as exporters, but also as investors, joint ventures, partners, and technology providers, since long-term presence build relationships, and relationships build markets. And let me add an extra point. IMF and other international organizations have excellent forecasts. And for Asia, by 2050, the forecast is that it will be the home of almost half of the world's financial assets, banks, and equity and bond markets. So money will be there. Global money, half of the global money will be in Asia. And a significant part of it in India. So we have to think of it as investors, as financiers, for all these future-oriented industries. And it definitely has to help our mutual economic cooperation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable MEP. Now we are running out of time, and I would like to close the panel discussion here on that note. Thank you to our esteemed panelists for your incisive views today. Your insights have brilliantly illuminated the path forward. We are confident that the historic India-EU FTA will significantly boost India-Hungary bilateral trade and investment, creating robust, mutually beneficial opportunity for both our nations. I now hand the proceeding back to our MC.
Thank you to our moderator and to all our panelists for a truly dynamic and practical discussion. Now I would like to invite His Excellency, Mr. Anshuman Gaur, to come to the stage to kindly felicitate the panelists.
Thank you. you for that. We won't let you go empty-handed. Thank you for that. Can we have a round of applause for our Indian panelists? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, madam.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of the formal segment of our seminar. On behalf of the Embassy of India, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our esteemed panelists and our moderator for sharing their invaluable time and expertise. A special thank you to all of you in the audience for joining us for this important conversation. But the conversations do not have to end here. We invite you to continue exploring these new economic horizons over high tea. Please join us in the downstairs reception area for refreshments and networking. Thank you once again for being with us today. Have a wonderful afternoon.